The police in Bauchi State have recovered fake 6 million naira notes from one Rilwanu Ibrahim. Mr. Ibrahim allegedly conveyed the counterfeit currency tied in 60 bundles of 1,000 naira denominations from Kogi to Bauchi State in search of a buyer. The Bauchi State Police Commissioner, Mr. Baba Umar, who paraded the culprits along other suspects, warned members of the public to be on the lookout for counterfeit naira notes. Well, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says President Muhammadu Buhari will still return to his doctors in London for follow-ups over his health condition. Malam Shehu, who was reacting to reports on the matter, dismissed claims that President Buhari is no longer going to London, adding that the presidency is not aware of the cancellation of the trip. He told our State House correspondent the reports had it that the president had changed the plan to return to London for another round of medical treatment 2 weeks after his return from there, adding that instead his doctors will be arriving on Friday to carry out further medical examination on him. The president on January 19th travelled to London and spent almost 50 days undergoing medical examination. Meanwhile, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibajo, has blamed the difficulty in retrieving funds looted from the country on the international financial system. Professor Osibajo was speaking today at the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development Forum in Paris, France. In a statement, the Vice President pointed out that illicit financial flows must be regarded as corrupt activity. He acknowledged that tracing, freezing, and return of stolen assets has proven exceptionally difficult for many African countries. According to Professor Osibajo, countries hosting global financial centers and others usually targeted destinations of illicit flows must be held more accountable to enforce mechanisms which ensure transparency of ownership, control, beneficial ownerships, trust, and other legal contrivances that may be used to camouflage financial or other assets. He insisted that member countries must work collaboratively to ensure transparency in financial transfers and outlaw secrecy jurisdictions, in addition to more rigorous enforcement of rules promoting transparency in the international banking and financial system. Let's take you now to Abuja, where Ivy Clem is standing by. She has more on the news at 10. Hi, Ivy.
Hello, Amarachi. The Senate has approved the use of electronic voting in future elections and election results to be electronically transmitted in an encrypted and secure manner to collation centers to prevent hacking. The Senate arrived at this decision as it's concluded its amendment of the Electoral Act 2010. The former chairman of the Senate Committee on INEC, Senator Abubakar Kyari, who briefed journalists in the National Assembly, said the bill also addressed the lacuna in the last gubernatorial election in Kogi State, where a candidate died before the results of the elections were declared.
In the event of a death of a candidate during election, before the announcement of a result, that the commission, INEC that is, shall suspend election for a period of 21 days and give the opportunity to the party whose candidate had died, if the party has interest, that is, to continue with the election. The case in Kogi is probably candidate that is leading. It could be a possibility that the candidate may be somebody who in a party that is not leading. If the party still thinks that they want to continue with that election, then they will be given 14 days to conduct a primary election and produce a candidate. Now, there are several issues. The reason why I'm stating this is that there are several issues. Some school of thought are saying that the running mate should take over. Some are saying that the runner-up in the primary election should consider. So what we are saying now is that we have laid those on the side and give the party the opportunity to conduct another primary election. If the runner-up is suitable, then the primary election will decide. If the running mate is suitable, then the primary election will also decide.
Meanwhile, as part of the measures to forestall election-related crisis in the country, the federal government's Committee on Constitution and Electoral Reform today received new recommendations from government officials and civil society groups in Abuja. The chairman of the committee, Senator Ken Namani, expects optimism at the successful outcome of the committee's reports. Our correspondent, Ajuri Ingolale, reports.
Many reform committees have been established, but conclusions often go unimplemented. Understanding this, a national public hearing on constitution and electoral reform commences behind me, and the chairman assures that this effort is unlike any other. Chairman of the committee, Senator Ken Namani, says the move to make the body's conclusions an act of law rather than unimplementable documentation separates it from previous commissions.
The National Assembly is not a rubber stamp, and the executive branch of government cannot be said to be a rubber stamp. So they will think out it. So many of the members here of this committee are veterans in political warfare. Or if you're a professor, asked to do this assignment, yes, you can do it from the theoretical standpoint. You may not have had the practical experience.
A senior advocate offers dissenting opinion.
Nothing will come out of this, your assignment. It will be shelved off by political vampires, those who do not want this country to move forward.
After the early fireworks display, the hearing begins in earnest.
The Constitution should be amended to reduce the age for qualification of contesting election. We want 25 years for State Assembly and House of Representatives, and we want 30 years for Senate, 35 for governors and presidents.
The abuse of caretaker chairmanship in local governments across Nigeria has given rise to the call for the abolition of state electoral commissions, amongst other recommendations to the committee.
For a presidential candidate who has to deal with maybe 120,000 polling units to file an election petition at the same time with somebody who contested elections to the House of Representatives who is dealing with fewer number of polling units.
While some participants advocate the establishment of an independent election offences tribunal, others say that amending current processes will suffice. Arjuri Ngelale, Channels Television News.
In Anambra State, various groups have continued to declare their support for Governor Willie Obiano ahead of the governorship contest in November. The latest of such endorsements is coming from the Association of Town Unions in the state. They reached this resolution at a meeting in Awka, the state capital, where they also commended the governor for his giant strides in the development of the state.
Thousands of men, women and youths gather at the Alex Ekweme Square in Awka for the Grand General Meeting of the Anambra State Association of Town Unions. The arrival of Governor Willie Obiano kickstarts the event of the day. The national president of the association and the chairman of the occasion goes down memory lane on how the union was formed. He believes the present administration has performed well and deserves to be given a chance to continue.
179 communities in Anambra State have noted with delight the wonderful work of Governor Willie Obiano in the area of security, wealth creation, education, infrastructural development, payment of salaries, education, health, agriculture, etc.
We agree and believe that we will continue to support any government in power. So I have a right to Willie Obiano, not a privilege, that we will support him.
And then, the man of the day, Governor Obiano makes his way to inaugurate the Board of Trustees of the association. He is happy about the confidence the people have in him.
I'm very delighted to be so honored by the whole of Anambra Town Union members urging me to go for the second term. I'm also very delighted when I listened carefully at the items you stated that I did. It showed you are paying very close attention to this administration. And I thank you immensely. And I want to promise you I am not going to fail you.
It's about 8 months to the governorship election in Anambra State. This show of support is no doubt one that the governor will hope to count on as the polls approach.
And that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Amarachi.
Thanks a lot, Ivy. Bayelsa State appears to be in full swing to becoming #1 in Nigeria's public school system. The move to turn things around began 5 years ago when a state of emergency was declared in the state's education sector.
5 years after declaring a state of emergency on its education sector, the Bayelsa state government has embarked on massive public school projects to make the state the #1 provider of quality education in the public school system. So far, the state government has spent 50 billion naira on school infrastructure.
My dear people of Bayelsa State, this is not politics. Issues about education, let us not politicize them. This is about the future of our state.
There's more to be done as Governor Seriaki Dixon assents to the Higher Education Student Loan Bill and the Education Development Trust Fund Bill to help the state's human capacity development. 5% of the state's monthly IGR will be used to finance both trust funds, in addition to the compulsory tax levies for political office holders, civil servants and multinational companies to build the education sector.
This is about raising a new generation of Bayelsa leaders. And as I charged them when I had a brief interaction, our focus is to bring up a new generation of Bayelsans that will fly as high as they can and conquer the world wherever they are. That is our focus, and there is going to be no going back on this.
Bayelsa State is projecting to generate 100 million naira monthly from the newly introduced Education Tax Fund, an initiative the governor believes will take the involvement of the public and private sectors to succeed.
When the news at 10 returns, International Monetary Fund commenced government's economic recovery plan to deliver 0.8% growth in 2017. That's on Business News. Do join us again.